Okay, so this is going to be a quick review of this Rogue RML-3 squat rack that I've been using for several months now. I'm moving, so I'm going to be selling it, and I thought it was time to throw up a quick review of this thing. Altogether, this cost about $1,000 to get purchased and shipped to me. So it is one of the more expensive options you can go with. Now, of course, since it's Rogue Fitness, the quality is fantastic. Everything came out to me very, very well prepared. It was on a pallet, and the reason for that is that if you've only used bolt together racks, this whole piece here is welded and is one solid piece. So the only assembly that you have to do is bolting these together up here, the pull-up bar to one side and then the opposite side. And then you're good to go. So it's very, very easy. The pallet was actually a newer experience for me. I've been getting some of the racks that you can are small enough to be shipped normal, non-freight. So that was a new experience. But the guy had no problem bringing it in on his pallet jack and then actually leaving it in the garage. Altogether, I think this is a fantastic rack. I would give it a 4.5 out of 5. I did get the base model options, which include just the pipes for the safeties. Those are quite a bit, those are annoying actually. So anytime, if you haven't seen these before, to adjust this, you have to pull this bar out first and then take off the pipe here. And it's a little bit longer of a step to do that, obviously, and it just means that you'll get annoyed with it quickly in my experience. So they do have some safety straps that are much easier to adjust from what I understand. I highly suggest getting those if you can afford the extra cost there. I don't have a lot to say about the J-cups except that they're massive and very, very heavy duty, get the job done. We've got, of course, the Westside spacing on this rack. So as we get to this area here, you've got more holes, so a greater range of adjustability in that position. One thing I should mention definitely is if you're going to be putting this together yourself, that could potentially be difficult. This is one of the racks where I could not put it together myself because of the weight. I think it's around 300 pounds altogether, but also just because it was awkward. So I need to look at the exact height. I don't have it with me right now since I'm making this video on the fly, but this is one of the first racks where I can actually do a pull-up in the rack. So I'm 6'2". It's very tall, which is fantastic. It also allows me, using this pull-up bar, I was attaching a pulley system to this, and that worked really, really well. So the height is definitely an advantage, but also because of that, putting it together is quite awkward. And I was surprised that having it have less assembly, so just these 4 bolts here, actually made it more difficult because it doesn't have a crossbar down here. I had problems lining it up and making everything straight. In retrospect, I would have probably bought that cross bolt if I didn't want to damage the floor or screw it into a platform, because I feel like it would have made it a lot easier. Some of the initial problems getting it straight and in the proper position was probably due to this floor as well. So this is obviously a garage floor and it slopes down like a lot of garages do. And that was a problem also. If I was going to do it again without getting a crossbar to put here, then I would probably probably measure it out or something and then drill holes and screw it in, and that would probably help out quite a bit. But yeah, I was surprised by that. I've never had that experience. But then again, this is my first large rack, I would say, that's also full size and so heavy and came on a freight shipping. Now let's talk about the actual performance. So of course it's fantastic. It feels very solid when you're squatting or doing other exercises, and you don't feel like it's gonna, it doesn't wobble much at all because it's so heavy. The The only thing I encountered, I'll say a bit, is just because of the width of it. I've got a standard 7-foot bar here, and I was surprised that, but with this width, I was hitting it every now and then squatting. So either the weights would come up and maybe hit this, or maybe even the bar in some ways, which maybe my squat was a bit unstable and that was kind of my fault, but it could get a bit of annoying just because of the wide width. So keep that in mind. But one thing I do love about this rack is all the options you can get from Rogue Fitness. So one thing I had kind of considered getting was this large piece that can extend out, and you can add a pulley system basically to it. So yeah, that is it for this review. Altogether, I would give this, like I said earlier, a 4.5 out of 5. I think it's a fantastic option if you can afford the price, just because of you're gonna get the best overall quality I've seen in a squat rack so far. And then with the Monster Lite attachments that you can get for this, it means that you can really expand it and add on to it as you go on.